Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As you see, we have the most extraordinary dialoguer with us this evening in the form of the great Zoe Kalar. So whether you're listening into this live or indeed if you're listening in through recording, welcome to this podcast, Deep Dialogues. And of course, Deep Dialogues is exactly as it sounds. This is a conversation that I hold with remarkable soul stewards around the world that are literally creating change to help us develop a new hierarchy of values so that we can develop a brave new world. And all I can say is that I can promise you we have the most remarkable lady with us this evening, who I'm now going to reveal through sharing with you her bio, which is quite extensive. So keep your ears open. So as we see, this is the great Zoe Kalar. Zoe is the founder and CEO of an extraordinary company called WeAre8. Zoe is an entrepreneurial powerhouse, has spent her life dedicated to building businesses and technology that address global problems in a way that supports humanity and the planet. Starting Communications at the age of 21, Zoe evolved the company to over 100 people and 4 offices across Asia Pacific before successfully selling the company to Omnicom in the year 2000. Zoe has subsequently built 3 other successful businesses across the world, spanning media, data, and consumer tech. And indeed, she has founded and initially founded the New York-based global media data aggregation business, Standard Media Index, which fueled decisions for the world's largest media and finance companies, which gained her instant recognition from Forbes. Zoe is now the futures architect behind WeAre8, a social ecosystem that enables advertisers to reach millions and millions of people. It is based in the USA, in the UK, India, and Australia at the moment, but this will be a far-reaching global perspective, with a mission to transform people's lives by giving $1 a day to 800 million people. Please note that, ladies and gentlemen. This healthy evolution of social media is now supported by the world's leading advertisers and gives every validated 8 citizen a centralized wallet and a safe environment to share and so make positive impact in the world each day. Zoe is passionate about information technology that supports people addressing their economic imbalances and helping to discover the power of their voices individually and collectively, so making major and positive impact in the world. Zoe's headline catchphrase is, "We are stronger together." Welcome, Zoe, to this platform. I'm so excited that you're here. And this is an immense honor that you have come to share your ideas, your experiences, your extraordinary philosophy about this unique time of change that we're living through, and how you are one of the foremost voices in relation to information technology in the world. So we're immensely honored for you to be here.
Thank you, Stuart. It's beautiful to be here in deep dialogue with you.
Well, I can't tell you what a pleasure it is. And of course, Zoe is beginning a whole series of 12 or 13 wonderful female global soul stewards, which is just going to be extraordinary that here she is as the figurehead of this entire movement. So Zoe, I want us to pitch right into the substance of WeAre8 and the specialness of what WeAre8 is all about as a social media platform of the future and the present, of course. Where did the idea really, as a fledgling idea, where did it really arise from?
Yeah, I think things evolve. If I really think about it, Stuart, I think everything that I've done in 35 years of business and actually 55 years of life have really prepped me for this on a very practical level. And by the way, the 8 means the infinite power of people coming together. It's our infinite connection as individuals, as humanity, as people coming together to make positive impact in the world and positive change in the world.
Mm.
And I think in many ways, I look at big tech now, and I think I looked at it very early when I looked at Facebook in the early days and saw things that perhaps other people didn't see. You know, I saw that it was fueling misinformation for all the good pieces about connecting with friends. It felt on an energetic level very controlling, which we're now seeing out of control. They control what people see, the algorithms control everything that people are seeing every day. And there was something that felt inherently wrong about that. And then I built a data company, Standard Media Index, and literally that we were tracking $350 billion of ad money in the industry. And we literally saw Facebook ad revenues from nothing until they took $135 billion out of the market
Mhm.
and last year. And the crazy thing was, the way I looked at it, we the people had become the largest unpaid workforce in human history. And
Mhm.
at the time, this is about 6, 7 years ago, the Federal Reserve had come out with a stat saying 37% of all Americans can't find $400 in an emergency.
Mhm.
People are living paycheck to paycheck. Now they think that that's around 85%. So we're
Mhm.
in an economic crisis, a climate crisis, a mental health crisis, and big tech and Facebook and Meta is fueling the entire thing. And so on every level, it wasn't the technology that we as humans, people are spending on average 4 to 6 hours a day,
Mhm.
which is 2 to 3 months of people's lives a year.
Mhm.
And so I'm all about seeing big problems and building tech to address them. And
Mhm.
I just thought I couldn't see anyone else working on the problems. I couldn't see I couldn't see anything else that felt safe for humanity, social that's really good for people and society. Who's building a framework where you can't be anonymous, where the AI in our framework protects everyone so there's no directed hate or else
Mhm.
it gets removed. Where everyone on eight gets the ad money gets shared with them and their communities and charities and nonprofits. Everything had to be reimagined in the new evolved ecosystem, and I just couldn't see anyone working on it. So for all my sins, Stuart, I thought I've got to fix this,
Yeah.
and I have to build the technology that's the evolution of
Yeah.
this, so we're safe.
Fascinating. Yeah, fascinating. You suddenly froze. What I would love to touch into, just as an initial point of inquiry, because you've given us this wonderful landscape of how you approached social media information technology from the very beginning, and how WeAre8 has evoked itself through a natural experiential of your points of inquiry over the last 30 odd years. What I'm intrigued
Mm,
by is this extraordinary level of information that is now being emitted into our world about how young people are moving into mental health crises through the anxiety that is being propagated through social media, through certain organs of social media. I think we need to give them
mm,
certain parameters. And of course, we know that the mayor of New York, the recent mayor of New York,
mm.
spoke very boldly about this fact. What do you feel are the constituent parts that have brought about that level of anxiety? What is it within the index of social media and the use of algorithms that brings this about?
Yeah, so I studied those algorithms actually for a
Mhm.
long time, and we think they're so sophisticated actually, but they are built to control us because the reality is all the platforms make more money by keeping us on longer, scrolling and serving us more ads. So
Mhm.
the longer people are on, the more they control and they
Mhm.
serve us more ads. The algorithms, they're quite base. So they look at our age, our gender, our location, base information about us, start serving us things that that attract attention. So really controversial, damaging things that attract a lot of attention make
Mhm.
you stick.
Mhm.
And so the linger time, when you slow down, I mean, for example, the TikTok algorithm, it has that base information, then the linger time. So if you slow down, it serves you more of that. So if you slow down because you see something horrific and are quite shocked by it,
Mhm.
you slow down and then you're served more of it. I think, I look at the old days and I would have to be one of the only people on the planet that doesn't have a Facebook account, because I would go on to a friend's Facebook account early and it made me feel, I literally felt like I was flying into the Voldemort
Mhm.
world. It just didn't feel right energetically. I didn't like the idea of looking back, and it didn't feel private. It felt uncomfortable for me. And so I think when I look at the good bits that it started, when you'd see your friends in your feed, that all slowly disappeared. The more ads came in, the more random content, but it would also addict us enough with a cute video or a video of a puppy or something beautiful. Or so we're manipulated as human beings.
Mhm.
We're emotionally manipulated.
Mhm.
And the more I saw it and the more I studied it, and the effect on youth is real. I mean, we last week I met with Ian Russell, who is a
Mhm.
very prominent voice in the UK, whose daughter tragically uh, is not with us anymore. And social was a big fuel
Mhm.
in that. And I found myself actually, Stuart, I'm so often fiercely building all of this tech and pushing the boundaries of it, but actually speaking to him, it really hit
Mhm.
me, because
Mhm.
he said there's 4 families in the UK a week that have to go through what I went through. And then on top of that, there's self-harm
Mhm.
and every every mental, I mean, I think over half the population now is suffering from some form of
Mhm.
isolation, loneliness, depression. So we're in a bad state. We're
Mhm.
born alone, we die alone. The bit in between, we're meant to live as a harmonious community and discover ourselves, learn about other people. And there's no more campfire. There's no more all those, we think, oh, Facebook, it's been here forever. Well, no, it's only about 19 years old.
Mhm.
And let's actually give some perspective on this. And as
Mhm.
humanity, we need that. We need the connection that I feel with you.
Mhm.
That's the energy. When that's cut off and controlled,
Mhm.
it's just damaging for the world. And so we see, Modi, Prime Minister Modi in India banned TikTok, bravely taking a stand. We see so many governments around the world suing the social networks and really driving for change. And it's about time. I mean, I think we need pressure on every level. But the reality is, we also need a solution that makes us inspired and happy. We need an evolution, because it's one thing for governments to ban them, but people connect through these platforms as well. So we
Mhm.
need a replacement that evolves it. If
Mhm.
we were to, and that's really what I did. I thought, if we were to redesign using the best technology available, if we were to redesign a framework that's really what we've built. The 8th stage is about where I get inspired by following incredible people like you, musicians. We've just had the most incredible artists join, Shepherd Fairy, and all these incredible people. I see my friends in a private feed, no ads in either. And if I feel like watching the ads, I press the golden 8 button, watch an ad, money drops into my wallet. I can use it to pay my mobile bill or into PayPal and or donate to charity. And then my
Mhm.
friends celebrate me. So it's a much healthier construct. We're in the phase now where we've built all the tech. So
Mhm.
you can't be anonymous. We've got validated identity. We've built this AI layer over recognition technology. So there can be no hate. It's like when you build a house and the most expensive parts are the things you really can't see. It's all of the infrastructure, it's the
Yeah,
plumbing and
yeah.
electricity, and we've now built all of that.
Mm.
And there's some pretty now it's the exciting part, because in this house, in my home, our home together, I've just built a home that, I want my kids and my family to live in. But the people showing up now, like you, we've got sports people and artists. And what's exciting is that when you feel safe, you can be, ah, ah, am I really safe to be me? And
Mm.
no masked person is going to come in and start abusing me in the middle of the night.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
wow. I don't care that the lounge room isn't as beautiful, because God, it's full of amazing people and my friends are there. And is this making sense?
Oh,
It's
totally.
the home.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just wanted to hover over the richness of what you're sharing with us, because the fascinating detail from a socio-historic point of view is that the original form of Facebook was created for me. It was my Facebook to share perhaps with friends. But of course, what's happened is
Right.
that the ego has distorted the whole functioning of the me, 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 me.
Yeah.
Now we actually have people who are Facebook warriors or Instagram warriors who are trying to destroy anything of beauty or anything of worth or anything that is of a
Mm.
heart giving in the way that they are. And so, of course, we always have the delete. But what's wonderful in your entire operation with not me is 8, but we are 8, is that we come together into a collaborative, co-creative union. And it all happens through essential empathy. This is what is so remarkable and unique about you as a businesswoman, that you have all of this extraordinary experience, which, as we've heard, is a global experience, a pan-Asian, but also embracing the substance of North America and that is now taking place within Europe. And yet you come to the business place with an open heart and a curious soul to wish to bring forth these wonderful virtues and graces that are right at the very core of the human experience. And thereby we begin to, if I can just wax lyrically into the core and the
Please.
essence of Western enlightenment, we remind ourselves of the
Mm.
sanctity of the individual and how right at the very
Mm.
sanctity of the individual within Western democracy is free speech, but not free speech that abuses everybody, free speech that is
Right.
collaborative and co-creative. So it's very,
Hmm.
very extraordinary what you are doing. And I just wanted to emphasize before asking another question to elicit all of this richness from you. You just mentioned it, but I wanted to just emphasize the exquisite nature of this, because you've actually inculcated AI within WeAre8, which means that there is a safeguard for all of the inhabitants, all those people, all of those 8 citizens that actually have their own wallet and that share co-creatively and co-productively. You have this system that guards anybody from receiving ridicule or destitution or hate.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that's very remarkable.
Thank you, Stuart. Do you know the thing is it's always been the mission. How do we create the safety? Because when we're safe, we can be our biggest, freest selves and learn from each other. And so what we've integrated is Amazon recognition software. So every video, image, comment is scanned, but then it actually wasn't where we wanted it. So we added two layers to that and then built AI, which this it took us 6 months longer. I mean, AI is just machine learning, but machines have learned that humanity hates each other. Actually, that we're driven by power and greed and control.
Mm,
And the goal in this big game is to seek power and money. And what was fascinating, because we had to teach in order to as videos or images or comments are coming through, anything with directed hate, with all the things that we know, we had to train the entire engine. It
mhm,
took us a lot longer because of what the machines, there was no framework for actually what the world could be, or
mm,
what people in as what I believe we as most humans inherently
mm.
want. There was no
Yeah.
framework to learn that. So I think as you talk about the me and the we, I actually just realized the M and the W, and that it's both us being in harmony with my beautiful Jazz, who you know, said to me once, while 8 billion of us are flowing around the universe, in the middle of that is a still spot where
Mhm,
each one of us exists as a me, as a moment of my microcosm inside the 8 billion.
mhm.
And when we can connect with each other and through each other discover ourselves, then we start to live in true harmony. And I think I was so on a mission to build this safe home for everyone else, Stuart. I actually forgot that there was that little still spot where I had to discover my voice in it as well. But I think I just waxed lyrical, but not so eloquently as you,
No, no,
Stuart.
no. All that you're saying is absolutely extraordinary. And, within the again, just I don't want to harp, but just simply to echo what we were saying earlier about the deep concern that rests in both our hearts about the pandemic mental health crisis that is existing globally. That what's so extraordinary within any form of mental health crisis is, generally
Mm,
speaking, that the individual who is experiencing the malaise has lost their
mm,
boundaries. And what you're actually doing is providing these safe, secure boundaries for people to operate through the comfort of their own soulfulness, so that they can begin to see ways of being brave and courageous and forthright, of finding their own destinies, their own mission in life, but to actually do it collaboratively and in this sharing context. So it's very extraordinary that there you are reaching into this profound mechanism of AI where you've been able to protect everybody from the ghastliness that we see happening on our streets, which is
mm.
propagating the possibility of excessive civil unrest, as we're seeing.
Yeah,
So,
and the civil unrest piece, I mean, it is the economic crisis, the mental health crisis, the climate crisis, they're all interrelated.
yeah,
And that's why the centralized wallet and taking the money from big tech and
yes,
sharing it with people and communities became so critical, because when the economic crisis and the mental health crisis are at tipping point, I mean, I think we're beyond that now. Without a solution, then we're not in good shape
yeah,
as a society, and
yeah,
and so we're addressing all both those things.
yeah. So, therefore, what I'd love you to do is just to describe to us the significance of each individual's wallet. and the
Mm.
substance of clicking through advertisements to acquire an accrued income, which can then be dispensed charitably or in relation to the production of other creativity. Could you just describe that more fully for the viewer?
Yeah. So our whole mission is to get $1 a day into the wallets of 800 million people. Because what we've seen is, and we just want to make it really fun and easy. When I first started seeing all of the money that was going to Meta, I could literally see them suck all the money out of the industry and all of the publishers implode. And I thought, what if we could imagine, or is it even possible for people to willingly give 2 minutes of their time a day to watch brand ads? And in return, for little money being dropped into their centralized wallet that they
Mhm.
can then use to pay their mobile bill, pay it into PayPal, pay their Spotify. People really hate paying subscriptions. So if you can help 100 million people pay their Spotify bill for 2 minutes a day. Actually, just to pay your Spotify is about 45 seconds a day to cover your Spotify. And then also, most importantly, donate to charity. So
Mhm.
people now are using 54% of our community is using the money to donate to certain causes, not for profits,
Mhm.
local communities. And if to sort of break that down, when just 1%, and it all goes through a centralized wallet. And our
Mhm.
vision, by the way, is that this centralized wallet becomes a real, this phone actually starts to support your life and
Mhm.
fuel your life rather than it sucking our life away. So I
Mhm.
can be going to work, use it on the subway. I can use it to get my coffee, my 8 wallet, because it's helping support and fuel my life because my time is valuable. I've just watched that Costa Coffee ad or done this, and it's given me this. So we're just joining the dots rather than big tech taking all the money. We're
Mhm.
connecting the advertiser and the human and the community and saying, we see you, we value you, and we want the money flowing through to you. So
Mhm.
that change is really fundamental. We're basically taking out the middleman. We're an enabler of
Mhm.
connecting that
Mhm.
transparently. But when the idea of billions of tiny, tiny micro amounts. So when 80 million people, just 1% of humanity, spend 2 minutes a day watching ads on WeAre8, we will be giving more money back to people, communities, and nonprofits and planet projects than the Gates Foundation in 1 year. So
Wo
humanity
Wow.
as a collective is powerful. We, the people, are powerful. In 2 minutes a day, we can pump billions of money back into the economy, and then
Mm.
it does something amazing psychologically. Like it really is shifting the power of big tech back into the hands of the people. And
Mm.
so it starts with the economic framework, but now we're seeing people express themselves through the social features really beautifully. So I
Mhm.
might come to watch a couple of ads, get money in my wallet, pay a little Spotify, and actually we're growing so fast now that we've got all the top 200 advertisers, but we want them spending more.
Mhm.
And we've just built pipes. So the golden ad unit on 8, watch ads when you want, whenever you want, give it 2 minutes. We've now plugged that into all the biggest publishers in the
Mhm.
world. So the Independent, Pink News, CNN. So we've built a world where now when all the money starts coming through our buying engine that we've built for the brands, then I could be watching a Golden 8 ad unit on CNN Digital or Pink News Digital or on WeAre8, and money's dropping back in my wallet and
Wow.
more's being shared with the publishers. And
Wow.
so the future state is people are valuable. People should be at the heart of the economics. All of that, all of people's time should be valued, and that's the tech we've built, actually. So it's now exciting because
Mhm.
it's now shifting it back to people, publishers, communities, making journalism healthy again.
Mm.
One of the CEOs of one of the big media companies said to me the other day, Zoe, we are just working for Evan Spiegel, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg. No publisher is profitable anymore. We can't pay our journalists. Freedom of speech doesn't exist because it's not being supported, and you're changing that. And we've got another little feature where from any individual post, you can tap through the link button and go out. So I can discover Stuart Pearce, the power of voice, discover your world. No longer websites in the desert and you have to go back to a link on bio. I can discover you, follow you, and then immediately go to your content. So, God, it's time,
Wow.
Stuart, isn't
Wow.
it?
It's extraordinary. But you've described this field of operation, this energy field, which is absolutely vast. And we know that it has metaphysical implications as well. Because after all, we are, when we look into the very substance of our biochemistry, completely self-organizing and completely self-correcting. We
Mm,
cease being this way whenever a point of resistance against flow is created. And of course, you've just named three principal witnesses of what those points of resistance are within the global
mm,
field. But the very fact that
mm,
harmonious, through productive, through egalitarian means, here you are changing the whole system, the whole of the field, in relation to
mm,
the nature of WeAre8, is the most
mm.
extraordinary, brave, courageous, and forthright, imaginative, visionary process that is around it today. So, having described the field, what are your anticipations? Notice I say anticipations and not expectations, but what are your anticipations for the future?
I So we've invested $57 million, Stuart, in building the framework. My belief is that the buying engine that we've built for the advertisers and the brands, because the ads work 67 times better, they work transformationally better.
Mhm,
My hope is that in 2025, we can shift 2% of minimum of Facebook money through to people, communities,
mhm,
and then the following year that's 10%. Now, if you think that 135 billion dollars, it's around $10 billion a month being pummeled through Facebook alone, Meta
wow,
alone. What that money can do for communities. I mean, we're talking about solving big problems together, like ending the water. 800 million people on the planet can't get access to fresh water.
mhm,
With that kind of money, I mean, they've made over $1 trillion since existence. With
mhm,
that kind of money and the mobilization of people, because when you're able to mobilize people in inspiring ways and get money from advertisers into their wallets and
mhm,
funnel that to things that matter, you can
mhm,
start to get really big change and
mhm,
address big things fast. I mean, I think they were saying it would cost around 30 billion to address the water crisis, for example,
mhm,
and how we can do that, maybe 30 billion, sorry, for 3 years to address that crisis.
mhm,
Not only could you see a path to do that,
Mhm.
but you could mobilize humanity in a way that feels part of the solution, which becomes really joyful
Mm.
and exciting. So,
Mhm.
look, at its most base, we want to get money in people's wallets and help them pay something little in their lives. At its most, it is at its higher manifestation, it's people showing up and realizing how beautiful it is to see their friends in a private feed or get inspired by the people like you or the incredible artists that are on. Like this is, we have the top 8 posts every day where we highlight. We've just got these incredible artists and musicians join. Ellen von Unworth and all these people's work is showing up. And we've got, you know, Equal Means Equal, who's doing this, who's pushing forward on the Equal Rights Amendment publishing, and all just lots of interesting stuff. So I can get inspired there, see my friends, and get pay something little. But my true belief in my heart is something bigger is
Mhm.
going to happen when we're all starting to be inspired. I mean, it's imagine this, Stuart. Imagine someone said, we've got a party on Friday night. There's actually going to be 80 million people on the planet that are going to show up to it for 1 minute. And in that 1 minute, we are going to get, in that 1 minute, we're going to get $80 million to the Syrian refugee crisis. And then we're all going to celebrate each other and we're going to dance. I mean, I would want to be at that party. So
Yeah.
that this is the fun we're going to have. We've built all the hard stuff.
Mm.
You can't be anonymous. You can't be awful to other people. Now we can
Mm.
just, we've fixed the economic pipes. Now we can start having fun with it and getting creative. And
Mm.
so the biggest manifestation, Stuart, is that we come together, we start loving each other and seeing and loving ourselves, not actually judging each other and ourselves continually, and that we solve the biggest problems in the world together
Yes.
and all start being in flow. That was a rave, Stuart. Oh my God. Forgive me.
No, it's absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant because, here I want to just refer to the uniqueness of your spirit, because you bring us this intoxicating vision of what is potentially fruitful for all of us. And you approach it in such a grounded and practical way so that we can see immediately what the advantages are and how we can begin to implement those advantages. And I guess that what you've done as founder CEO is that you've been able to cherry pick some of the most extraordinary people who are
Mm,
technologically sound within their own field of expertise, but at the same time are heart consciously open to join in the frequency of this extraordinary joy and playfulness and heart centered soulfulness that you bring to the work. So
mm,
you are also protected. There is another institution of boundaries, so to speak, that are points of definition that hold very successfully the safety and the security of the entire venture together. The word secure is really interesting because we're all feeling very unsafe and very insecure as we look
mm,
into our world and we're realizing that our central organizing principles have to change. The hierarchy is no longer serving us. And so we're all unplugging and developing ways of staunching the fear and finding ways of, through self-volition, of being highly imaginative about the
mm,
next step forward, and that requires a great deal of courage. And so we need to
mm,
feel safe and secure within ourselves, not necessarily
mm,
within the outer presence of
mm,
ratification status, but to feel safe and secure within ourselves. And then we begin to realize that the word secure in its
mm.
Latin form means self-cure.
Oh, wow. I'd never thought about that. I
Secure.
love
Sic
that.
is the central prefix. Cura, which is of the heart, to
Just
heal. from the heart.
Oh, I
So you're
love
creating
that.
this platform of security where everybody actually feels the intoxication or the positive infectiousness of the joy, the co-creative solidarity that develops. As a result of that, we become individualized in the sense of the true notion of who we are, because we can feel the ways of being able to collaborate, which are safe and secure. And so as a result of that, we begin to flourish in the most extraordinary way. And not only that, there we are having $1 for each advertisement in our wallet, which means that we can start to propagate and flow on that level. It's very remarkable. You're sort of measuring all of the inherent principles of what we've really been developing over the last 45 or 50 years in relation to the human potential movement. It's quite remarkable.
Oh, you're so beautiful. By the way, I hear
Thank
you talk, Stuart, and one of the if we imagine what is possible, what the possible manifestations are
Yeah,
within this,
yeah.
every time I hear you talk so beautifully, and I think about India, a
Mm,
country that is so progressive and bursting with life and beautiful values. I think a world based on greed and power and control is very broken, and we're seeing that now play out really sadly, I think, for humanity. And I think as I hear you speak, I just imagine, because when we unlock $1 a day,
mm,
the access, it means that for a lot of people, for example, in India, it changes a lot. And access to mobile phones, data, then within that, the magic of the phone, where we're not being dumbed down and controlled
mm.
by Instagram and TikTok, and where we're inspired on eight. I just imagine 100 million Indian children learning English with you and sounding like, I mean, imagine that, Stuart. I think that's what's possible when
Yeah.
you helped Princess Diana discover her voice. You
Mm,
helped all these people not just speak but discover themselves. I
mm,
think I hear you talk, and that's, I mean, I built the tech, and actually, you're right. I have an incredible CTO who designs with me and takes things to the next level. And it's the team around me for which I wake up and thank God for my jazz and my children and my team, because without all of them supporting my absolute obsession on getting this right, we couldn't exist. But I think I'm now starting to see what's really possible
yeah.
with the mobilization of this. Imagine 100 million children speaking the incredible, beautiful English that, beyond that, though, discovering their life.
Yeah, discovering how they can connect with their souls and therefore empower. It brings us back to what you were saying earlier about the still point, because you're
Mm,
creating a still point, and wherever there is a still point, it's essentially deeply magnetic. And of course, as a result of
mm.
that, the universe responds through its own magnetic unfolding and draws all possibilities to it. So I hear you when you say the possibilities are far reaching. I would love to equal that, but also to take it a stage further and to say that the possibilities are nearly probabilities, and they are of infinite potential. So we're back to we are eight,
Oh, I
which
love that, Stuart.
imaginatively you had to call the entire functioning we are eight, with this numerologically, the number of strength, number eight from ancient numerology, strength, but of course we know when it becomes horizontalized, which we all do during the night, we all lie down and sleep. And then during the day, we become rectilinear hominids, we become vertical hominids. So the very fact that we have the, wonderful, gentle and loving conspiracy of that, it is opening up a greater field of infinite potential. So the projects are far-reaching. This is what's so extraordinary, and particularly moving into all the varying fields as an answer to some of the ideologues that are being created as a result of
Mm,
trying to stem the fear of our young ones at this time, who are
mm,
with very angry voices. Thank heavens they are using their voices angrily.
mm,
Fortunately,
mm,
no, much of the information that they have is formulated through misinformation or disinformation. And so
mm,
the fact that your wonderful social platform is going to open up a field of operation to draw in some of the great intellectuals that are stepping forward with fact and not opinion
mm,
to remind
mm,
us of who we are as a species, to remind us of who we are as a civilization. I find that absolutely quintessential. And it's so
mm.
exciting to know you and to know that this is actually taking place. I wondered,
Do
I
you know
just want
the infinite? Oh,
yes.
sorry.
No,
I
no,
was
no.
just going to
Carry on.
say that the infinite, what you say about the infinite flow, because when things are shared, they just flow on infinitely. I remember when I first realized that someone watched an ad, donated to Fair Share, that got someone a meal, which gave someone more dignity, which then it keeps flowing. So the infinite power really is in your hands.
Yeah,
And when it is that is exciting as I
yeah,
hear you explain that.
yeah. And isn't it extraordinary from the point of view of the dichotomy of the fact that you mean little me can be part of the bigger we? And the answer is yes, so that we can actually dance with the cosmos in all of its evolutionary splendor. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about essentially how we can equip the social systems of our planet so that we can arrest global warming and we can provide clean water for all of those extraordinary people that you were just referring to. From a statistical point of view, with water, again, when we are absorbing water, we know that we're also part of the flow. So we become not emotionally resistant and stagnant. We become emotionally viable and open to the possibility of sharing even further. As we know through all of the remarkable warriors, the spiritual warriors that have actually stepped forward and are now doing great works in the world, like yourself, who are becoming rarefied in their moral stature. That's what's so extraordinary.
Thank
So
you, Stuart.
when you go all the way back, I just want to create an arc of where it all started, it, being brought up in Australia, and then recognizing your potential within the substance of tech broadly. Did you ever dream that there was this idea, this seedling that would become the potential that it is, as we're describing, infinite?
I felt like I never quite understood the world. Is the truth. I was always fascinated by media. I used to look at the TV screen, and I was born 1968, so in the 70s, I remember when we got our first color TV, was like my mind exploding. But
Mm,
I remember our black and white little TV. I used to imagine myself diving into it and speaking to the characters. And so, media and the power of connection and imagination always, I didn't feel like there were boundaries with that. And
mm,
both my parents worked. I grew up in a very working class. Uh, Dad's a pathologist, actually, study of disease and cellular structures and things. And mum was a nurse, and she used to do Meals on Wheels and all that. I used to do Meals on Wheels with her, dropping meals off, and it
mm,
was. But because they worked, I used to cook, and you know, I I'd go to the supermarket with mum, and it was a working class area. So I saw people. I used to look, and mum used to hold certain items back
Mhm.
and look at the amount going up. And I think, oh God, please can the ice magic get through today? Can we have can we have things like this? But I could feel mum's tension, and I didn't like that. And I wanted to take that away. I wanted her to feel safe to put the things on the supermarket counter and be okay with that.
Mm. Mm.
And I just remember thinking very early, both the that piece, and then I used to cook dinner for the family a lot because mum also worked, and which I loved because I loved cooking. I used to imagine I had a cooking show, and then I would put all the other food down a chute that would go to Africa. So I think it was partly escapism for me because I found the pain of those. I was highly empathetic, so I would feel other people's pain, and so I used to go into my imagination to, I think, escape it.
Mm.
Um, but at the same time, think I have to do something about this. So I
Yeah.
think at a very base human level, it started very early,
Mm.
actually.
Mm.
But I also don't think, I do not know how architecting or the technology even came into my head. I mean, I work with incredible CTOs and tech team, but as we architect this, I, I I don't even know. I think we're just vessels put on
Mm.
this planet to do a job, and it
Mm.
flows through us,
Mm.
and we have to, you know, fight. Because even as a woman in technology, I don't look like the rest. So it
Mm.
is much more difficult to raise capital. I mean, women get 1.7% of all VC funding. I've never had a cent of VC funding.
Mhm.
And so it's despite building three successful businesses before this. So
Mm.
I think we're shifting some really critical foundational things in the world that that the world can be better when we're
Mm.
living in female and diverse led technology ecosystems, when we're able to tackle big problems collaboratively, um, that have a different value set in
Mm.
the base.
Mm.
That yes, look, I couldn't have built this as a non-for-profit. I couldn't have raised the money that I had. I couldn't have invested the money. I couldn't have done any of that.
Mhm.
But but we can't go against our integrity, and
Mm.
that's been the hard, not difficult because I can't live any other way,
Mm.
but
Mm.
it's been always, I think people sell out
Mm.
to the greed, or the power or the control, and they just don't say no, no, mm,
Mm.
that's not
Mm.
okay.
Mm.
So I think it started very early, Stuart, and then I fell in love with media, and my first company, we produced television shows, and then right at the start of the internet and TV, reimagining how, and look, I think this is our time. I mean, early stage internet, I look at Google and I look at Facebook, I look at where we are now with AI and everything that's been built. Imagine a world we've got this unruly, crazy internet controlled by Google and the social networks, really. Imagine then that we come together on WeAre8, and through a validated identity, we can come out the other side and there's a mirrored internet, but only the good stuff
Yeah.
that links. We've got a
Yeah.
chance at reimagining all of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's there are so many possibilities of what you're describing, and you've mentioned the word imagination on 12 occasions, and so evidently it's a major force within your life, and I feel we can see it, we can feel it as you bubble and speak to us, because your abundance and your generosity is constantly overflowing. And of course, as we all know, that we're beginning to understand how the imagination is linked with the way that we feel. It is linked with our
Mm,
desire for empathy, to
mm,
our desire for love and for light. But it's also a
mm,
gateway into the liminal.
mm.
It's a gateway into the possibility of what we were describing as infinite potential. And so, I would love, unfortunately, our time is ticking past like mad. And I was actually going to reach into the chat box and say to anybody, do you have any questions for darling Zoe? But because you can see she's completely open from a generous heart point of view. But it seems that people are so intoxicated and inspired by what you are saying that nobody's really writing any questions. Oh, there's a lot of birthday celebrations. It's my birthday today. So there's a lot of birthday
Oh,
celebrations.
Stuart!
So
Happy
bless you, all of you.
birthday, you gorgeous
Bless you,
human. Oh,
bless
happy
you. It's
birthday.
the big 7-0. So it's
Oh, gosh, you look good.
like a crucial
Really?
point of departure.
Happy birthday.
Bless you, darling. Bless you, bless you. And I unfortunately we are going to wind down in terms of the nature of this particular time frame of our conversation, because I know it will continue. Is there anything specific that you feel is a remainder within your consciousness that you would like to share with this particular platform? Because I know that this is going to be like wildfire. It's just going to positively move through with thousands and thousands and millions of people listening to the recording. So is there anything you would like to share?
Really, just to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for all your support, and that you are even more amazing than you imagine, and you are more valuable and loved than you can ever imagine. And we're going to do so many magical, incredible things in the world together. So, thank you.
Somebody's just written in the chat box, Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Because imagination
Oh,
is fed by the heart. It's fed by the way that we
oh, I
regard
love that.
ourselves and others and the good that we want to do in the world so that we become fully self-generative, fully
I
self-creative,
love that.
fully self-organizational. So thank you very much, Nicholas, for reminding us of that. And in this moment, I would love to invite Zoe back in the next season of Female Soul Stewards, which will be at the beginning of 2025. So we can hear about
Oh,
the journey of WeAre8. And in the meantime, I know that Ryan is about to put the website address up on the screen. There we are. Please, everybody, would you go straight to WeAre8 and become a citizen? I'm sure you are absolutely inspired by all that the wonderful Zoe has shared with us. And you from your heart, I know, are thanking her for the wonder before my laptop suddenly realized the laptop was about to run out of fuel. So thank you very much, my darling. It has been an extraordinary experience hearing you share the wonder of this process. And I know that everybody who's listening in are going to be sending WeAre8, your team, and yourself so much love and support in the substance of propagating the wonder of what you're creating. And please, everybody,
thank
would
you,
you
Stuart.
take the URL link for this particular conversation and share it with all of your family, with all of your colleagues, with all of your broad social network, because it will help to disseminate information in the way that we know Zoe is paramount as a figurehead in sharing this quality of information. And thank you very much. We're going to have to close down. I'm saying to everybody, namaste, namaste. But Zoe, darling, could you just stay where you
Thank
are for
you.
a moment? those down. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Blessings, everybody. Thank you, Ryan.